Yeah, we live.
Yes.
We live. Yes, we're talking about team building and how to do some team building with your business. And I've got my bestest favorites cousin here today from Namibia, Buttons Heyns, and he knows all about team building. So, how do you do team building? This is what we're going to talk about today. Is how do you do team building effectively in your business? And what is team building and what is it not? And then also, what does it really look like? And Buttons, you're going to give us some activities, right? So, yeah, take it away,
Yeah,
mister.
talk a little bit about activities.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, Veronica. How are you?
How's Namibia? How's Namibia first before we get any further?
Yeah, I think
Namibia.
Namibia as a country, yes, they as a country, I think they need team building as a country because we are on another session of lockdown. So, yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's
Talk about
be
team building.
positive.
Team
Yes,
building,
for small
yeah.
ra- rather than a whole country. But yeah, we last week we talked about small teams and is it possible to do team building with them? Yes, it is possible. For small groups, even 3 or 4 people up to 12. Then I said you have to decide what you want the outcomes to be. So it's important to know that,
Yes,
and also have to ask the question, why are you actually doing this? Because if you don't have
exactly.
that, there's no sense in doing this.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
important.
Yeah, no, right?
And
Otherwise, yeah. So it has to be, you have to make a decision. What is the outcome, right?
yes, of course,
Okay.
you have to decide amongst yourselves, or
Yes.
the team leader, or the manager, or the CEO, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? Yeah. So, and what does it achieve? If you have decided that, what do you achieve? You can obviously you're doing this with a specific reason. So normally you would achieve better understanding amongst each other, because that's why companies don't get along, or people don't get along. You'll build up social cohesion.
Yes. Very important.
You'll also obviously learn specifics about one another. What's your likes? What's your dislikes? What's your hobbies? What's your beliefs? And that's important because the more you know about yourself
Yes.
and also about your colleague, the better they will get along.
Yes.
Also, you can also learn about the different cultures, and I think that's important all over the world, not only in Africa or in South Africa or in Namibia or even America. People don't understand each other's cultures.
No, no, and there's so
And
many
that makes a lot
cultures,
of,
right? In
yeah,
the same, even in the same country. I mean, I am working with people in Namibia, South Africa, UK, and America, right, and Canada. So yes, and everybody
yeah,
has a
that's
different
that.
outlook on what should be done in a team and what should the daily tasks be. Yes, right.
Also, obviously, what's important for yourself, and obviously how that resonates with the rest of the team. And like I just said, the more you know about yourself and the more you know about the team, the more you can play off each other and help each other.
Okay, one
We can
question.
just have a look at.
Yeah, one question. So, how do you find out about each other? How do you find
Yeah, we
out
will
how
get to
people
that just
work?
now.
Oh,
How we
okay.
find about each other. Yeah,
Okay. Sorry.
obviously, obviously, you have to talk to each other. I
Yes.
mean, that's the main thing. You have to communicate to each other. But we'll get to the specific activities now. So let's just talk a little bit about this whole BLM, Black Lives Matter situation. Started in America and now it's flowing over to Africa and the rest of the world. Um, and it has everybody up in arms. And I'm saying people like to talk, they like to have their voices heard, but they don't necessarily like to listen.
Yes.
And I think it all boils down to communication. People don't understand each other, they don't understand their cultures. And this
Yes.
situation could have been solved and or settled long time ago. Now they're making a political and racist issue out of this, and it's just because of communication. And it can also happen in business because you don't communicate and certain things are not said, and things can go haywire.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
um, then we look at why do we do it? So it is important to see that what's the reasoning behind this whole thing. Also, what is team building? What is it not? So a lot of people talk about team building. They have these specific ideas about it. Some will throw around their eyes and say, "Oh no, not again." So, and some would obviously like it. It's not normally. It mustn't be a competition. So as soon as you bring competition in there, it makes the playgrounds unfair because all people are not equal, and it starts organizing problems. It shouldn't be forced. Everybody that's going to participate in this team building should want to be there, and not be forced. Then it also shouldn't be too strenuous, because if it's too strenuous, you're obviously taking some people out of the equation.
Yes.
So those are important factors that you have to look at before you start with your team building. And it's important also that either you that's going to do the teaming as the leader of your team, or as the CEO, or if you get a facilitator in, they will obviously know and talk to you beforehand what's important, why do you want to do it, and they will facilitate and organize this whole team building accordingly.
And there has to be an agenda, right? There has to be definitely, everything must be set out before you even start the team building efforts, right?
Yeah, obviously you will draw up a draft program after you've discussed it with your client, send it back to them. They can have add their input into it. You can then adjust the program, and then obviously send out the program. And then you will discuss it with them the day that when you start.
Yes.
It's also important to know that team building must be voluntary. It must be inclusive.
Yes.
It must be that everybody fits in. It also has to be. You have to be sort of sensitive to certain limitations that people have. Otherwise, people might not feel so much part of this all.
Or comfortable, right? Or comfortable.
Yes. Comfortable. So you asked now, will there be a program? Obviously, when you start off and you arrive at your location that specific day, normally I would prefer to do it away from your normal day-to-day job area.
Yes.
So go to somewhere else where people already think that it's nice to be, and it's not their normal day. So you would then obviously get the people together, explain the reasoning behind this. We will give your CEO of your general manager or whatever the chance to welcome everybody, explain the reasoning behind it, explain what outcomes one would expect from this specific day, and also ask the people about expectations, and also explain to them certain expectations from your side as a facilitator, for instance, as the leader of the group. Yes, and also ask everybody's buy-in so that they feel that they're part of this. So you'll have to activate everybody, otherwise it's not going to flow very nicely.
Is it better? So what is the size of the team? You said it's from 3 to about 10 or 12. That's a comfortable team.
Yeah, for one facilitator, about 15 to 20 people is enough. I mean, if it becomes more than that, you would obviously get another facilitator, because it's difficult to handle so many people, depending on how you structure your whole day, and how you structure and what activities you want it. At what activities you want. So a normal day, or a normal day like this would where we will start off with energizers, activities and plays where you just get the juices flowing, so that everybody's heated up a little bit, and then you will obviously go over to socializers, and that the socializers are the activities there where one will then try and get to know each other a little bit better. There's hundreds of activities that one can use, and we're not going to specify specific ones now. Then you will do some activities, obviously, to build trust amongst that specific group, so that when you go forward and do some other more complicated activities, they might feel that they can trust each other.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously from there on you might also touch on communication, which is very important in a group or in a team.
Yes.
And then you might have, depending on where you are, some obstacle courses that one can use as team working activities,
Mm-hmm.
where a team must come up with a specific solution on how to get through that specific obstacle course. Now that's also very interesting sometimes, because you can then see the interaction with the teams,
Yes.
how they make plans, how each of these team members would come up with suggestions, and then you can also see that the previous trust building or communication exercises and activities that you've done, is it actually working in this team?
Yeah.
Or are they still not communicating properly? So it'll easily demonstrate whether this team is going to succeed in a small little team exercise or not. So those would be the basic structures that you would use when doing team building.
So I have one question. Okay, so I know we're not going to mention anything because we have to do virtual stuff, but we are. So if you, say for instance, if you got a customer right now and you had to do some team building, and they are my customer that I introduced to you and say, hey, you know, these guys are really in need of a team building effort. So you would do it virtually, right? I mean, the world is connected these days.
Yeah, you can do it virtually. I mean, it's definitely possible. It's happening every day
Yes.
nowadays, because people can't get together. We just had a situation last week where I couldn't go to Windhoek for a specific team building,
Yes.
and got my colleagues to do a virtual one, and they were working on thinking preferences, and they had specific activities, and it fitted in very nicely with those people there that could actually participate face to face.
Yes.
And we just brought in a section of virtual team building. But
Yes.
obviously, if you want to do the whole session virtually,
Yes.
it's also possible. One, just remember that it's difficult to concentrate very long virtually.
Yes.
In the sense that because you have to
Distractions.
take time. It's important how long you're going to
Yes.
do it. But the different tools that we have got the facilities that you can organize breakaway rooms. You can stop a little bit. You can go and make
Yes.
coffee, come back, start again.
Yeah.
You can give them specific tasks,
Mhm.
which they can then video and show you afterwards, or whilst you're doing the next session what they actually did. So there's a lot of ways to do that.
Yeah. Fabulous, fabulous. Yeah, because I mean, I live on a boat, so everything for me is virtually virtual. So I hate getting off it. But yeah, I mean, my team is in Houston, and I've got another team member in Namibia. So I need to, and I think there's one in UK. So we need to communicate differently because also the time zones, right? So, but I'm always interested in how to actually build a team so we all working together, because that's really difficult for small businesses, is to actually get everybody on the same wavelength where you can work together. I have a big problem with that. So I'm always, coming up with different ideas of how to effectively work with my team, because we so flung in different directions.
Yeah, but that, Veronica, is also a little bit maybe different. It might be, you might be able to call it team building, but that's actually managing remotely.
Yes.
So, and how do you do that? And one of my colleagues, Dr. Chris Heyns, actually just wrote an article about managing remotely.
Yes.
And how you do that, and why it's important that we will be able to do that in future. And we're going to do that more and more in the future. So at some stage, I'd like to invite him, and we can have
absolutely
have him on the show as well. So
that'll be wonderful.
He's a specialist is a specialist in this area. Yeah. So thank you very much. I think next week what we're going to do is we're going to start talking about um, team effectiveness and what makes a team effective, and what aspects do you need to make a team effective. So we're going to touch on that, and then every week we will have a little bit of a subject and touch on some of those aspects in the future.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to it. So I will see you next week again this early. I know for you it's in the afternoon. Thank you so much for chatting to us. And I love the subject because for me that team building is hugely important because, and I mean, and you know, I know you said that the managing the team remotely is a little bit different, but every now and again, I think even if you're working and trying to manage a team remotely, there should be some team building at some aspect of when you're running a business, so you feel like you're on the same team. Don't you agree?
Oh, no, I don't disagree with you. I totally agree with you, and that'll have to happen more and more in teams, and that might be the new normal, and what we're going to do in future. So I totally agree with that. And
yes.
People will have to accept that that's the way it's going to be. The world is now one with all the equipment that we have and all the ways of communication that we have.
Yes.
So yeah,
it's
that's
getting
true.
better and better. Yes, exactly. Okay, brilliant. So we'll come together again next week. We'll talk more about team building and what to do. And so thank you very much for listening to us. And if you listen if you listen to this afterwards, I'm going to put all our contact information in the description. I always do this afterwards. So you can contact Buttons if you have any questions about team building, or you can contact me. I'll get in touch with him. And obviously, I'm always available to help you with any of your business problems. We will talk to you next week again. Thank you for listening. Bye.